Oh, yeah.
Party.
I've always went to like, I guess it's Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh. This year. But you know what? Everybody goes to the King's College. They got rid of the new building.
Oh, where Britannia used to be, next to that, right in that general area? No, North, Main Street, North Street. Oh, okay.
They used to cut the kids off. Big one. Back off. Their first floor is all the commercial. That means they make money. I wonder what that is. Same kind of thing going on non-profit, but King's College.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I was getting one spot at first. How are you? That's the building, right?
Very nice. They replaced the, I wish they still that.
Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Okay, good evening. First of all, we have a new item presented by the administration. Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Let's do a roll call first.
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Dewar?
Here.
Mrs. Lavelle?
Here.
Mr. Barre?
Here.
Mr. Merritt?
Here.
Also in attendance tonight is Mayor Thomas Layton, Administrator Greg Brew, and Community Municipal Affairs Manager Andrew Pratt, and Assistant City Clerk Catherine Payne. That's it.
Okay. Good evening. Back, I believe, in 2004, 2005, Mr. Jennings was missing relative to this. There's been an agreement in place since 1984 with the city of Wilkes and Jennings Hotel and Conference Center, or that's Jennings, that's wife. That kind of fell through the cracks. It was an installment contract where the city was going to receive some funding. They turned the title over to the Jennings Hotel for the family. That went on for years and years and years, and it kind of just got dusty. Mr. Jennings came to me back in 2004, 2005, relative to transferring this property back to the Jennings with the deed. Unfortunately, the property was tied up in litigation with part of those parcels, part of the RA problems that we just straightened out through the lawsuit that was filed in the prior administration. It took us almost 12 full years to straighten out. So we just got around to meeting with Mr. Jennings and dealing with him relative to this, and kind of proposing that you council authorize the sale, the city-owned property. If, remember, State Street ran right behind the CYC, right to Northampton Street. Well, Mr. Jennings now has part of his hotel, the swimming pool and the parking lot, on this piece of property. So I believe, and Tim believes, and the attorney fair thing to do is to fulfill the contract obligations. Now, the contract expired, yes, but Mr. Genetti has done his due diligence in proving the land as per the specification and discussion he had with the mayor. Was it Mabaka at that time? Mayor Mabaka?
Yes, it was.
Mabaka. So you're going back for mayors.
31 years. 31 years.
31 years. So Mr. Genetti, again, approached me once he saw the RA problems were taken care of, that we conveyed the property to him. Technically, it's our property, legally it's our property. However, he has made significant improvements on the land that we were supposed to, the city was supposed to convey back in 1984, 85, 86, whatever that year was. So I'm here tonight asking the city council to authorize the city administration to execute the proper paperwork, which would give him free and clear title to be simple.
Mr. Mayor, if I can ask a few questions. Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Mr. Genetti, Mr. Genetti, you guys do a lot for the city, you really do, and the city benefits by your properties. But I just have a couple of questions because I just heard about this a couple hours ago. It was the last minute item. And normally we would have discussed this on Tuesday night and asked more questions, so bear with me because I do want to ask the questions. The last 30-some years, the property is owned by the city of Wilkes-Barre right now, yet you've made probably hundreds of millions of dollars in improvements on that property. Who's been paying the taxes on that property the last 30 years?
I believe you.
We're paying, right now, the whole property, we're paying $49,000 in city taxes, $160,000 approximately in all property taxes per year.
So, Mr. Genetti, and maybe I should ask Mr. Genetti.
Sure.
The parcel that's owned by the city,
Yes, sir.
that you're hoping to get approval tonight to turn over to you, are you paying taxes on that piece of property?
There was no taxes. We were paying
Excuse me, Mr. Genetti, could you just sit at the table in front of you?
Sure.
Just tell us your name for the record and answer the questions for us. Thank you very much.
I'm Gus Genetti, the owner of Genetti Hotel in Wilkes-Barre. When we had that agreement, we were paying the city an amount in lieu of taxes. And that went on for several years, and I don't know, I know that I checked in 12 years ago and we were still paying it. Unfortunately, we're not paying it now, and I don't know when we stopped paying it. Probably the city may have stopped billing us, but so right now it's tax exempt because it's owned by the city.
It's owned by the city, and you're using it for business purposes.
Yes, sir.
But the taxes have not been paid on that in the last several years.
That's correct.
And I'm not, attacking or anything, I'm just trying to get as much information as I can.
That's a good question.
So please understand that. And you folks, like I said, do a lot for the city. But in lieu of not having this on a Tuesday night agenda, there's several things that I just want to pose to you. So the property, it's owned by yourself. Is there anyone else that's part of this ownership?
My wife and I.
And the value of that land now, I'm sure it's several hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I have no idea.
I mean, you have a pool area in the parking lot.
Well, the park, I'm sorry, the pool is owned by, the pool property is owned by the hotel. The parking lot that's paved is, which was formerly the Sunday Independent property. Then it went into redevelopment, then to the city when redevelopment closed. So it's just that improved lot that we're talking about.
My main question was looking at the back taxes. And I think you understand why I asked that question.
Sure.
And point out too, Mr. J, he pays the business privilege tax, paid all the purposeful tax associated with the hotel based on the revenue.
Yes, sir.
Revenue has been coming into the city.
Yeah, and parking fees as well, parking lot license. I just would like to point out to those, we built our hotel in 1979, and we got no funding nor loans from the city or the county or the state. Sheridan Crossgates came in a loan of $106 million and 200 free parking spaces in perpetuity at no charge. And today, we all know that that property is, I mean, we're still paying taxes after 52 years, and the Sheraton Cross case is long gone. So, you know, all things equal, and I know the city's about to embark on a very exciting $28 million project, tax-free for 10 years. So, when you balance things out, you know, I think we've been good citizens, and we'd appreciate any consideration.
Well, like I said, in my opinion, you have been good citizens, and you really done a lot for the city, but I felt I had to ask those questions in fairness to the people.
Anything else? Barry?
How big of a piece of property are we talking about? It's a small sliver of land or is it something substantial?
There's about 85 to 90 parking spaces. It's not the driveway, though. The driveway is, it starts right at the swimming pool and a fence, and it goes toward the CYC.
Mr. Jim, I believe it's about 0.77 acres. Does that ring a bell to you? Is that?
Yeah, something
know what
like
it is?
that.
Yeah.
It's not an acre.
Yeah, 0.75 acres, 0.77 acres, something like that.
And in follow-up to Mr. Brown's question, you have been paying property taxes on the improvements that sit there and the improvements are on that piece of property, or is this mostly?
No, sir, not on the parking lot. We paid it, we have about $100,000 plus that we put into that lot. When the redevelopment authority, turned it over to us, the contract called for the Sunday Independent to be torn down and for, the lot to be, the hole to be filled with, unpacked material. Our contractor, Sardoni, advised us that we should pay the demolition contractor not to fill it. And then we paid another contractor, Sardoni, to have it filled. So we put a lot of improvements into that because otherwise it wouldn't have been stable for parking.
And Mr. Mayor, Mr. Genetti came to the city and wanted this rectified, is that correct?
2004, right? In the beginning,
It's not that we are, we made an error or a mistake, obviously, somewhere executed.
I think you could say it was on both sides, with either side following.
So that's,
Just related to what Mr. Barrett was asking, but you have been paying insurance on the property for the last 31 years?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but that's not something that we would generate from the insurance. The reason I asked Mr. Genetti was because it was a property that he had approved. We would, as a city, gain that income as taxes paid. But the insurance really doesn't do that. It basically insures the property Mr. Genetti put on.
It was insuring property owned by the city for 31 years.
The liability.
The way I look at it, he lived up to his part of our bargain. We messed up by not enforcing it after he came to us in 2004, wanted to buy it. And that's when I guess he stopped paying the fees he was doing because he was waiting to buy the property. And it's our fault, we didn't sell him the property.
We
It's
couldn't
not
sell
his.
it though because of the redevelopment authority.
Right, so it wasn't,
No, it wasn't
yeah.
Mr. Genetti's
No, right.
fault, no.
So he lived up to his part of the bargain, now he wants to finish it, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, but what happened back in 1984 when the original agreement took place? Wasn't that when you agreed to buy it?
No, there was a 5-year agreement. And, I thought, quite frankly, it was a 10-year agreement. And, our accounting office was getting bills from the city and we paid them. I checked 12 years ago to make sure that we were still paying them, and I was informed that we were. But I don't believe that, we have paid them for several years. So, our records only go back 7 years.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to this be ahead of the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Mr. Barrett, okay, you wish to add it to the consent agenda, you don't want it separate?
I don't have any problem with that.
No, I think we're not going to raise it.
Well, it's up to you.
I'd like to-
By unanimous consent, if council wants to add it to the consent agenda, you can do that.
That's fine. We'll put it as a separate item.
Okay. All right,
Separate item.
sure. Okay, does anyone from the public wish to comment on legislation pending before council tonight?
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Genetti.
Thank you. Appreciate your consideration.
Name for the record.
John Sosky, Palmer Lane. One thing with, Mr. Genetti's thing, is there some way that you guys could like make a deal, like in lieu of, I don't think you guys are gonna actually ask him for a payment, but like maybe ask him to use the facilities once or twice, you know, something like that, just to make a deal, so he's giving back, like, he's good to the city, I don't think he should run his taxes, like, you know, back tax, I'm like, I don't think he's are, but something like, you can make a deal with him where he uses services or his facilities. But, then also, you start going on the, voting on the board tonight for the, is there any way that you guys could separate that from separate the board members from the, how you vote on it? Separate the bill, like the sewer authority and the board members into different votes?
It's gotta be together, it's gotta be.
Gotta be the same document.
Okay. I just like to know also, how did you guys come to the board members? Like, who picked them? And, like,
The mayor picks them as required under our charter.
okay. So, but he just took council members' opinions and just then picked by along yourself, like through the council members?
I'm sure the mayor would take input from council members, but under our charter, it's the mayor who picks the members of the boards and authorities for consideration by council, because it doesn't need their advice and consent to get them appointed. But they're nominated originally by the mayor.
Okay. So there's nothing, is there any way you'd have to change the charter to change something like that?
Yeah. Or it might be part of the administrative code, which would be an ordinance change. I'd have to check. I'm not sure if it's charter or administrative code. But those are the two main basic governing documents. The charter is, of course, like our constitution, and the administrative code is almost like a constitution.
Okay. I just asked, like, maybe you guys change the way it's done, if you can change it to maybe each board member picking a member, placing one board instead of maybe the mayor. Spread out the power a little bit, because, you know, the board members that are on there, you know, you see, like, some of them that are on other boards, I think you should kind of spread it out and have different people. That's it, thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else on pending, legislation this evening? Okay.
Okay, then the first vote will be, the consent agenda resolutions, including the new item related to. Okay, so consent agenda does not include the new item regarding the so motion second and vote is needed. Right? Tony? Okay, Mr. George Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Tony George?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavelle?
Yes.
Mr. Barre? And Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next is the, item, the new item relative to the genetic property deed.
Mr. Ryan, before we vote, I asked Mr. George to recuse himself from voting on this item.
Why is that?
Due to your, the connection that you have with people that are connected to this community.
I believe you had a party there also, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, I'm not talking about.
Are you gonna recuse yourself?
So I'm asking you to recuse yourself.
No, I'm not gonna recuse myself. It has nothing to do with, no connection with people I know. I have to recuse myself on everything, because I know just about everybody in town.
Mr. Greco is connected to the genetic.
No, this is Mr. Jerry.
Mr. Greco connected.
This is
with the
Mr.
genetic
Genetti and his wife's property.
And Mr. Greco, wasn't he one of your largest contributors to your?
Yeah, he was talking.
That's the reason why I'm asking you to recuse yourself.
I'm not recusing myself.
I want to go on record, I asked you.
Okay. Okay, duly noted. Mr. Brown?
Yes, because I support what you're doing, and I appreciate you've done it. If you'd asked actually given, groups that I'm associated with, we had the SOS board meeting and stuff with. So you give a lot back to the community, and you're doing a wonderful job here. I support what you're doing, and I hope you understand the reason why I asked for Mr. George to be here. But I do support you, so I vote yes.
Well, we didn't, you have to have a motion in a second, and then a vote.
I'm sorry?
You have to have a motion in a second, and then a vote. I'm making a motion. Billy, a second. Okay. Okay, George Brown is making the motion, and Bill Barre is seconding. Mr. George Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Tony George?
Yes, and it has no influence on who my friends are, that I'm going for Mr. Janetti. Like Mr. Brown said, he's one of the biggest businessmen we have in the city and one of the longest, and I respect him highly.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Lavelle?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yeah.
And Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Motion passes also. And we have all of the, we have three ordinances, and they are listed separately. There's not a consent on them. First is,
Before we start, I'd like to make an amendment to the first one, file number 22 as the sewer authority. I researched some of the language on the number of members, and it appears that the minimum is 5, but there's no maximum section. So I'd like to amend the ordinance to include the 4 names that I submitted also with the 5 original. I'll make that motion.
okay,
No
so,
amendment?
okay, so we have to make, Mr. Tony George has made an amendment to that, which he just explained. So, there has to be a second and then a vote on the amendment, and then there has to be a vote. I'm sorry, first of all, there has to be
Second.
there has to be a second. Well, first of all, there has to be a motion and a second on the ordinance itself before Mr. George's amendment. Okay? So we need a motion and a second on that. And then Mr. George's amendment will be made and seconded and voted on that.
But I think his vote is going to be contingent on whether or not.
The motion, the amendment is made.
The amendment is seconded.
Yeah, you still, right. You have to make the motion and you have to have it seconded in order to get it.
But once the motion is made and seconded, then there's no vote taken.
Right.
No. Then there's your motion before the vote, and then there's a second, and then there's a vote on your amendment. And then there's a vote on the ordinance as amended. Okay.
Question on this, we had discussion on this before, when we changed the board member in the ordinance, it takes it back to the first reading, is that correct?
That's correct.
So, in effect, if we do this, we literally do that again.
Yeah, if we change the board from 5 members to 9 members, which, so Mr. George is correct, 5 board members is the minimum required under the statute. You can have more than 5. But yes, if we change tonight's ordinance, which currently has 5 members, and we add 4 more, then yes, tonight would be a first reading with those 4 names added.
The next meeting will be the second.
The opportunity to do the second reading, correct?
Let me ask another hypothetical question. Somewhere down the road, 6 months from now, if it was deemed that it would be beneficial to have more than 5 members on this board, what would happen then? We found that maybe we wanted to add 2 more, the city wanted to add 2 more, does that start the whole thing all over again?
Yeah, I'm assuming they would have to go back and amend their articles of incorporation and go through that process. I would have to speak with the solicitor that's currently working on this for the sewer authority.
You know what I'm saying now, so next year is what I.
Well, we have to do the same thing all over again. We can finish it now.
They would certainly have to amend their articles of incorporation with the Department of State to require a new filing with the state. And any filing with the state is going to require approval from the council.
So we bounced this around since summertime. I think as you mentioned, the Barre, the first started. And
been like this forever. I don't see what 2 more weeks is gonna make a big difference.
Start all over again.
No, it starts over, today will be the first reading, the second reading will be the next meeting. So it doesn't start all over again. It's actually 2 weeks from today.
Providing the amendment.
Right, well, he's saying about the time. It's gonna be 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks with this council, then you have a new council coming in.
Well, my thing is, they should be responsible for this. But if you guys wanna do it, let's do it, but let's do it right.
We can't put business off with the new council. We're the council.
Well, I said, okay.
We're sitting here
We'll
now.
be able-
We should be making decisions on whatever takes place by the end of 2000.
We will be, the next meeting.
I don't say, let's let the new council vote on this and that. We're here now. We should be taking the leadership and doing this and the ownership for it.
Right,
Right or wrong.
I agree.
And these folks that are sitting here tonight, they can make, the decisions over the next 4 years. Tony, all due respect to you and your mayorship, I think these folks will have plenty of.
And all I'm asking is 2 weeks. What, next 2 weeks will be done. And you'll be voting on it, you'll be here December, I think it's 15th, you'll be
Yeah.
here.
I know, and as I
What is your
mentioned,
motion?
Phil, we started this back in the Toyota complex when we were having our meetings on the road, and that's been.
Well, I don't think 4 or 5 months is a long time to form an authority when it took 1871 to now to form. I mean, that's 200 years,
So
It's not much different.
You are making a motion to add proof to it.
just the 5 names I gave to,
5 names.
4 names I gave to Mr. Ryan.
And they are,
It would be Jerry Ryan, Jerry Altavilla,
Not many.
Bill Harris, and who's the fourth one?
Fiorucci?
Who?
Fiorucci?
Donnie Carucci.
Yes.
He was with the fire department, he knows where all the storm drains were, he knows what was flooded. Jerry Ryan knows all the sewers in the city. Will Harris is the planning, the director of planning, he knows, he has all the maps and the roads in the city.
did you discuss this with them?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so, in order to get this on the table, you have to have a motion and a vote on the agenda as this, on the ordinance as listed in the agenda. Then Mr. George can make his amendment, there has to be a second on that, and vote on the amendment. And then there has to be a vote on the ordinance as amended. Okay, so right now we need a motion and a second, just to get this in consideration for council.
On the original.
On the original. So who,
On the original, as it is written right now.
well, who made the motion? Maureen? Okay. Okay, and then Mike? Okay.
Well, now I'll make the motion to amend.
Now you're making,
Who those 4 names?
now you're making the amendment. Okay, you want to say it again, Mr. George, what his amendment is?
No, I think that's right there.
All right, so Mr. George has made the motion for the amendment, as he stated it. There has to be a second on that before we can vote on the amendment. Any, no second? Okay, motion fails for lack of a second on the amendment. So now we'll take the vote on the ordinance as listed on the agenda, as is. Mr. George Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Tony George?
No.
Mrs. Lavelle?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
And Mr. Merritt? Motion passes. Next is file council number 23, naming the Triangle Playground, renaming park. Motion second and vote. George? Okay. Second? Bill? Mr. George Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Tony George?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavelle?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
And Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Motion passes. And the third is file council number 24, 2015, relative to naming the roadway into the Pearl Street Complex, Owen Costello Way. Motion second and vote. Tony and George. Okay, Mr. George Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Tony George?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavelle?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
And Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Presentations from council members, Tom? Mr. Lavelle? Mr. Brown? Anything you want to add?
Yes, I'll come back on. If you don't mind,
Mr. Barrett?
I wanted to check with you, just thought on the way down, when I saw a problem with exit 2 traffic there again. I don't know if we've had any further communication about that, but somebody was trying to make a left turn out of there and stop traffic on the boulevard, it's like at 5 o'clock there. And I didn't know if they ever got back to us, but the last I heard is they were gonna look at it again or something.
Did we hear anything, Ray?
I'm not quite sure where we're at.
All right, well,
We'll get back to you.
Yeah, if he's at a dead end or whatever, let us know. Let's just resurrect that, because it is an issue, and it's, we hear this complaint every day up in our neck of the woods over there. Okay, anything else?
That's all, thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I brought this up once before, and Mr. Ferrari said it's gonna be taken care of once PennDOT, does the work on River Street, but I'm getting a lot of complaints about the stoplight when you're turning left from River Street onto the Market Street Bridge. I know you're waiting an excessive amount of time there. Even if PennDOT has plans to make that some change, could we look at that to see if we can shorten that time period?
We've been in touch with them on that, I know that, as part of that redesign.
That may be years away from now, and at least change the lighting timing, because it allows 3 cars to get through, and then you back up.
We'll talk about it again tomorrow.
Thank you. And just one more thing, we are starting South Wilkes-Barre Residents Association, and our first meeting is Monday night, December 7th at Barre Methodist Church. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Ford, and also I believe Larry Moon's going to be there, and will helping us to start this, similar to what the Downtown Residents Association has created, which has been a wonderful association. So we're going to be starting this association for South Wilkes-Barre residents. And kickoff meeting is Monday, December 7th. It's coming Monday, 7 o'clock, for United Methodist Church. Also, South Wilkes-Barre residents are invited to be there, listen to Mr. Brooks, Mr. Ford, Mr. Newman, and then we'll start to find out what's important to people. Councilman-elect Belusco will be there, and hopefully we can open this up to another great organization, much like the Downtown Residents Association. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Justin, any
I have one comment I forgot to announce. Actually, it's up that way, officially tomorrow. So the city's new website has been updated, and then if you go on, it's www.wilkesbarre.city. I need to really publicly thank Andy, who spearheaded getting all the information. He's done a great job with that. Along with Lou Lau and Frank Hertzberg with the website together, and again, Andy gathered all the information, and they worked hand in hand over 3 months. About 3 months in the making. So this website will allow the residents to go on, just register complaints, go right to the department. And, under my administration, you go right to Andy, and Andy, as you have called these accounts, you have spoken to Andy with your complaints. So it's just another great way of using technology to save taxpayers' money. So I want to publicly congratulate you, Andy, Lou Lau, and Frank Hertzberg for a great job you did.
Andy, I've got one question. Did we put a map for those folks in there to direct them to the right department, like a complaint for this?
The new website, well, first it's mobile friendly, so anybody can access it through a tablet or a phone now, the layout. There is a service inquiry page where they can go through for building, code, health, anything with public works. They fill out an email, it goes to that specific department.
Okay.
So the whole process will be a little bit quicker, handling complaints.
Great, we'll see how it works out. We've got a lot of confidence in it. Gus Janetti, did you need to speak any more on this issue?
I just want to thank council and the mayor for your support, and also the support of all the people who worked hard over the 52 years that we've been there. We've had an opportunity to invest a lot of money recently, which has allowed us to move forward with being a Dustbusters Plus. The new sign will be up sometime in the next couple of months, and the city of Wilkes-Barre has the #1 full-service hotel in the area. out of 20 hotels. So, that's because of the hard work of our staff, good commitment of, my wife and my son. And, so we hope that we're here another 52 years, but, maybe a little shorter time than that.
Okay,
But thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Frank Sorg. John Sahoski?
John Sosky, Almond Lane. Mr. George, did you have any input on the board, the authority board?
You saw my input, you saw where it went.
See, that's what our problem is with, like, the administration, Mr. Mayor, like, I don't know, I think he should have had a little bit more input. I know you didn't let him, nobody wanted to second him for letting him put his own people on there, but why is it that nobody seems to listen from time to time? Like, I think that's why the city got into the condition that it's in, because everybody knows so much, but everything's kept going downhill and downhill. Everybody says that when Mayor McGorty was in there, everything was so messed up, but people actually wanted to come and move and live in the city, and I don't know, I just think some people up here are in a vacuum, because if you talk to people who live outside of Wilkes-Barre, they wouldn't even think about coming in and buying a house here. Like, the only people that want to buy
report to those people what we've done in the District A section of Wilkes-Barre. So when you say I don't report what I've done for the people, that's not true, in all due respect to you.
I never heard you
Mr.
here
Walker.
at these meetings.
You could, they're District A, you live in District B. I have been for the people that I represent in District A, sir.
Well, tell us what's happening in your districts. Inform us, so we'll know.
I've never not allowed anyone not to be there, sir. I've had people from all districts come to my meetings, but it's an open meeting when I advertise it. I'm only gonna talk about District A's issues because they're the ones that I've been addressing, even though I have worked on issues in other parts of the city. So, not everyone has not communicated, sir. I just want you to know that out of respect to you, and I want you to know I am answering you back, giving you an answer to one of the questions that you presented tonight. I respect you, Mr. Walsh. I respect what
I'm not asking for respect.
Mr. Walsh, I can't have the back and forth, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm just
Mr.
asking
Brown,
you
you
to provide us with information as to what's going on in your district. Let us know what you're doing.
Sir, if you want to know what's going on in my district, go to my 3 Crime Watch meetings, because I have a social meeting right before.
Here's the place, the public meeting's the place to reveal it.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Don Del Castro? Name for the record, sir.
Don Del Castro, Hellman Street, Minersville section of Wilkes-Barre. This is in regards to a failing retention pond behind my house, which unfortunately the Wilkes-Barre School District owns. And it's in between, if anybody's familiar with the area, between the New Solomon School and Biscontini Warehouse. Now this, I went to the county engineer and spoke with him, and he told me in person that this is owned by the school district. Now, over the summer, we had heavy rains and all, and I went outside and I heard this roar, and I knew there was no train coming because it's right by the railroad tracks. And I got my umbrella, put my boots on, went over there, and water's just gushing through. Now, I do have pictures of when this was built in 1999, and there's 2 pictures at the end from this past Monday. And apparently, someone, don't know who it was, climbed up 20 or 30 feet on this concrete tower where there's a grate on top, is how I was explained to me by the engineer. It drains from the top, water pours out, and then after 72 hours or so, the water leaches out on its own. The last 2 pictures, somebody climbed up on top of that, took the grate off, threw it down, and smashed the pipe. So you got that concrete tower, the embankment, and the hole in the pipe which it leaches up through that hole, which it's not supposed to be doing, and I'm worried about flooding down the road if, God forbid, the water backs up in the river or Mill Creek, which that empties out into. And another problem, and I told them about it when they were putting that in, that Plains Township sewers are behind the school, underneath the higher set of railroad tracks, the old D&H, I guess it's Canadian Pacific now, and then go underneath the lower set of tracks that go to the old Minor Village complex there. That water pipe goes over the top of the sewers. So what happens if that, God forbid, ever has a failure? So that's why I'm here, and hopefully, I've been talking with Mike Merritt was there with me, and Butch Brady was there over the summer, and they're trying to resolve the situation, and the county engineer had mentioned that I have to talk to the municipalities, they don't get involved. You know, Butch knows about it, Plains Township, he hasn't heard word one from them. And another thing too, that if you notice on the pictures, it's all nice and clean when it was first opened. There has been no maintenance on that property, none whatsoever.
And, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, there's pictures coming down to you. Butch and I did go up there, and it is severely overgrown, it is damaged, and there's a lot of risk for a lot of damage up there. Unfortunately, I believe Butch has hit a wall in trying to get this resolved.
Yeah, he brought this up in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
But I've had Butch up there back in July, and he's just trying to go through the proper route, but nothing's getting done. However, it kind of makes sense that now that an authority is going to be formed, have that, get with the school district and Plains Township, and, to the date, nothing has been done that I'm aware of.
Oh, they ain't in Woodward as well.
I don't know why how that concrete tower and there's it looks like a plastic corrugated type pipe, why they would put something like that in, it'll never last. And I don't know how they're gonna get in there if they have to fix it.
Donnie, do you need these pictures back?
You can have them, we can
Make photocopies?
make photocopies, whatever, and just get them back to me, you have my number, give me a call.
Did you say this is owned by the school district?
That's what I was told by the county engineer.
Did you go to the school board and bring it up?
No, I didn't.
Well, the city should have more clout than Don going to,
Well, it could be mentioned. I mean, I have the original, the 4x7 pictures, not the 6x9.
We're gonna make
Well,
copies right
there's a
now.
school board meeting coming up,
Okay,
okay?
yeah, I did see that in the paper.
Yeah, there's a school board meeting coming up, and I'd just like to make a recommendation that you or someone else go and bring this up to the school board.
Right, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Because, they are the owners.
Right. I mean, God forbid if there's another flood or anything, because, I mean, if the river and the creek back up, where's the water gonna go? Hopefully not in my basement.
Mike, if you can't make it, I'll be glad to represent you.
do you know what day it is?
Yeah,
The 15th, I think, was it?
15th is a Tuesday.
no, it's
Monday.
14th.
It's Monday.
I think it's 14th. Anyway, it's gonna be at the new Mackin school,
I don't know where it's
and
at.
Mike, if you can, I'll be glad to see you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can you be at the meeting?
Sure. Mike has my number. I'll give you my number before you leave, and you can call me.
If Mike can't make it up.
Okay, yeah, sure. But, I thank you for your time, and
Don't leave, please. We're making
I'm not
copies.
going anywhere.
We'll give you the original right back.
I'm sure other people want to speak. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Louis Weibrecht?
Louis Weibrecht, 10 Whiskey Street, Wilkes-Barre. I'm here for my property on 650 South Main Street, formerly known as Outsiders. I've been out of Outsiders since January of 2013. Anything that happened there had nothing to do with me. I'd like to refurbish the property, and I'm having a real hard time getting permits. Apparently, the building code officers aren't issuing permits to people that own their own property. In Wilkes-Barre, you have to, it's a city ordinance, you can't work on your own property. I tried to get my license, I was a contractor in Wilkes-Barre, and I can't get my license renewed because they're not issuing the licenses right now. So I'm in a bind trying to fix up the property that's becoming an eyesore. That's all I'm really interested in, trying to fix the place and open it back up.
The license is with the testing, I think twice a year.
And when is the next test?
I was told whatever Allentown does is what we do, and I called Allentown, and Bill Harvey worked here. I spoke to Bill Harvey, he's in Allentown right now. He said it's just a business license, simple business license, and you build to code. I'm familiar with the codes. I just can't get a permit. They won't issue me a permit. I've been a contractor here since 1990.
Are
My
you
license
licensed with
expired.
the city?
Excuse me?
Are you licensed with the city? A
My license
licensed
expired.
Contractor in the city?
It expired in 2008, but since then it's changed, from what I understand. I wanted to retake the test, and I can't.
You
but
can't
my
take, why can't you take the test?
Because I was directed to 2 separate websites that brought me back to the city code office, and their information was that we do what Allentown does. Allentown said we just need a business license, not a,
Give Andy your number, we'll call it.
It's-
Is that on the form? Yeah.
well, my main objective is to reopen my bar. But I'd like to be able to work on it, I'd like to be able to fix it.
Yeah, I want to ask a question on that. Commercial properties are different than, if you wanted to work on your own home,
I would have to review the ordinance.
That's the difference.
It's a primary
Commercial
residence.
property, obviously, and we're not saying anything to do with quality work, but if the work wasn't done to code.
I understand the city ordinance, but
It's to protect your customers.
I understand. But being the fact that I'm trying to pull a permit, and the way to pull a permit is just have a simple business license, I can't seem to get that.
Yeah, you
No,
have to
that-
play
I
a
don't
licensed
believe that's
contractor to do the work.
I have to hire, I'm a licensed contractor.
It would be like Mr. Genetti wanting to go over and do some electrical work on a hotel, obviously.
Well,
I'm
electrical
not
and
saying
plumbing
you're
don't
not
apply. Electrical and plumbing don't apply, but for building contractors, it's a simple business license provided you build to code.
I'll get back to the particulars on that, it's a little bit complicated, but.
Okay. Somebody's going to say it's going to get back.
All right, thank you.
Samantha Chiquetti?
South River Street. I know I've spoken to a few of you over the past few weeks, George Brown, Tony George, and I talked to the mayor on Tuesday, actually. I'm just following up on something that happened on Halloween night at our home. There was an attempted break-in with, the end of the night came up. Since then, I've been in contact with police, with Wilkes University, everything like that, trying to follow up with this. The person that did break in, did break the window, did come forward to us and has paid for the window. He was a freshman at Wilkes and was prompted by upperclassmen at our neighbor's property to come and break the window. Found threats from these people at this neighboring home targeting our house. They've been the ones talking about us, about my father-in-law. We call the cops on them. They want to stop us, that kind of thing. I've been having really difficult time getting in touch with the police about this at all, getting any information. Every time I call, the officer that's in charge is not available. He's out, he's on vacation, whatever. I know that Tony George, I've spoken to you, and you had Officer Kearns or someone had contacted. All that he was able to say to me was that Officer Dayhout, who's in charge of the investigation, would not be in until Friday, and that I would have to speak to him. At this point, we are just trying to get this resolved. We want the people that are held responsible for it. The person that did come forward is at this point unwilling to help. He doesn't want to say who it was that told him to break the window. He's backtracking on what he said he was going to do in this situation. So I'm looking for assistance with this matter, with dealing with the police, I guess. I mean, Officer Dayhouse is supposed to be back tomorrow, and I'm going to contact him at that point, but I don't have a lot of faith that he's going to do anything, because he hasn't to this point. Following the last meeting, when he was actually stationed in the back, like he was the person standing back there, when I said the police aren't doing anything, I went to the police department. He was very upset. He said, "Oh, you called me out in the meeting and said that I don't do anything." I said, "Well, you haven't made any effort to call me since that meeting when you were so upset that I said you don't do anything. Like, you haven't made any effort." And he was more than thrilled that the person came forward and he said, "Oh, this makes my job easier. Now I don't have to do anything." I said, "No, I don't want you to stop. Like, I'm telling you, there's someone else behind this." And to my knowledge, he hasn't gone to 384 and asked him any questions. He has done nothing. He doesn't get back to me. And anybody I talk to there just says, "You have to speak to Officer Dayhouse." I mean, I'm trying to get information. I want the person that broke the window questioned. I need him held responsible. I want to press charges in that matter. And I want to, I feel like these questions, he'll name the other person that was involved, to hold that person responsible. I have threats in writing against my property that haven't been investigated at all. There's just a lot of things here, and I know I need to speak to Officer Dayhouse. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I just wanted to kind of update everyone here because, as I said, nothing's been done to this point, so just to keep you all in the loop as maybe further assistance with this. I I do have copies of the messages here. There's messages from Chris Thomas is the name of the person that did break the window. He did pay for it, but he, as I said, is unwilling to give further information. He said the only way we can hold anyone else responsible is if you say it was this person that told you to do it, and he's not willing to do that. There's messages from him saying, oh, the guy didn't like that you called cops, and he wants you to stop. There's messages from one of the residents of 384 targeting our property. That's Mike Conrad, he goes to Wilkes University. It's all posted publicly, public threats against our address, against my father-in-law. Some of the threats have actually been acted on, just a few things that we were able to find here. The copies of that stuff for you guys, and I know that I've already spoken to you on Tuesday about this. Spoken to George Brown, has been working on getting the property, seeing what things have been filed by the police to try and get the property as a nuisance property, just different things like that. I just wanted to kind of update everyone for when I do speak to Officer Dayhout tomorrow, and when he tells me, I'm sure that nothing has happened.
Okay, Mayor, can we make sure that
Yes, there's gonna be a phone call, I gotta pick it up.
Yeah, I know, and I spoke to the guy there, that he said that you made contact and everything like that. I just figured I would come here anyway and speak again tonight, just to kind of keep everyone updated, because I honestly don't have a lot of faith that anything's gonna happen tomorrow when I talk to him, because I mean, even after the last meeting, I still have not been getting any information from him, and he was here and heard everything, you know?
thank you, Samantha.
Here's copies of this stuff. I don't have to- There's a couple.
Josh Kenny?
John Chickadee, South Street. Last time here, I gave everyone a video. Honestly, I got anyone look at, even in part. No. But then I got nothing to say. Mr. Brown, thank you. Mr. George, I mean, you're just nothing, right?
Right, my computer's busted, so I'm gonna put it in.
All right. I got nothing else to say. If you're not gonna take the time to look at a video, what good are you? You're not doing any justice anywhere.
I looked at the video, we're talking about one and the same incident here with the windows and all that, the action going on.
I got a 36-minute video that you got a copy of also.
Yeah.
It's been happening for the course of a few years at several different properties.
That's what I was
And yeah, and we've been having a really difficult time just getting any support from police. We've been talking to landlords, and we're not getting anywhere, and it's getting worse and worse, to the point where this was the most recent incident. But I've been pressing with Wilkes and with the police and everything that, yes, this was most recent, but this is something that's been continuing for years that this has been going on, and that's why I don't want to just drop. We want to kind of get the people that are behind it.
Can't get copies of the police reports, can't get copies of responses, can't get copies of the 911 calls. The ordinance say you have to have 3 strikes against it. Right? That video tells it all. You don't need reports from the police. Just look at the video. You can't do that? Thank you. I'll handle it myself. Get out of here.
Motion to adjourn?